It cut off. The intro cut off. I don't know what happened. Anyways, welcome everyone. Tonight we're talking about poly, monogamous, and open relationships. Thank you everyone for who's tuning in. We've got Secular Rarity and AJ. Normally I'd give Secular Rarity a chance to introduce himself, but for those who have been watching my channel for quite some time, SR, you already know him. So
I'm old
AJ,
news.
I'd like to start with your old news, yes. So AJ, I'd like to start with you. Can you give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Apparently, I'm the fresh face now. So
yes, you are the fresh face.
It's my show now. So my I started the channel called Ways to Human about a year ago, and I've been doing mostly, trying to debunk religious misconceptions, ideas using science mostly. I really enjoy neurology and brain science, helping people understand like their emotions and how the brain works. And because this is one of the things that helped me the most to deconstruct from religion. So I feel like it's something that could help others. Hopefully it does. I've been hanging out a lot in other channels lately, like here. And I also started doing live shows on my own channel with my husband. And it was called Rage and Love. But it's in the Ways to Humans channel. Last week we had Jason from I'm sorry, Justin. I'm sorry, I can't do Jason. Justin. Jason was on the show too. Okay, my apologies. So Justin from Skeptic Spin.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Justin.
I think he let SR out of the box for tonight, just for tonight to come on the show.
Yes, he keeps me in his basement in a cage. There are carrots. There are carrots that are fed to me. It's a thing. But
it is, yeah.
So, how long have you been an atheist for, AJ?
I have called myself publicly an atheist for a year since I started the channel. But before that, man, I would say I was deconstructing for several years before that. It started very slowly, kind of like my kid had some very major surgeries, heart surgery, and sitting on the bedside, kind of thinking like, people were saying, "Oh, we're praying for your kid, to get better." I'm sitting there holding their hand, like helpless, not being able to do anything, and thinking like, what kind of God will allow this to happen, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's how it started. So that was like 2020 or so, the last surgery. Yeah. So I would say that's when it really, really started to run in my head. Like, what is this? Yeah.
Okay. Before we jump into the topic, I would like to personally thank you, Puck, in the audience. He bought me these new headphones, which are much better than my old broken ones. So Puck, they sound great. I love them. For those of you just tuning in, I've almost got my studio finished up. I've got my desk. I got everything laid out. Unfortunately, my monitor broke. So I'm working off just this screen at the moment. And I don't have my soundboards up yet either. So there will be some echo, but hopefully we'll get past that. With that being said, Secular Rarity is poly. AJ is monogamous, and I myself am open / a swinger, which we'll get into later. So starting off with you, AJ, could you define what a monogamous relationship is?
So I would say technically mono just means one, and gamy means spouses, actually. So one spouse. Like most people think of monogamy and they think of marriage, and technically speaking, that's what it is. You just have one spouse. But it's a term that has not been around very long, truly, in human history. It's only about like 200 years that we've had, marriage between a man and a woman of sort.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Secular Rarity, how would you define a polyamorous relationship?
Yeah. It's interesting. I love that AJ broke down, the whole word there, because if you notice that it's not polygamous, that's not the word that we're discussing today. That is something very different and has a very different historical connotation. Whereas monogamy and polygamy have that root word referencing spouses. Polyamory uses that root word referencing love. And the way that I often describe it is the feeling and capacity, the capability for an individual to feel attraction, love, and be connected in a relationship with multiple people equally at the same time, and to enjoy that for your partners as well.
Right. So
So
compersion.
yeah, compersion is the word. Yeah, that kind of means that excitement and joy and good feelings that you get when you see others getting that. It's basically the opposite of jealousy. So
Okay. So I would define and this is where I'm torn and something we need to talk about is the difference between an open relationship and swinging. So my girlfriend and I are swingers, which means we will go to swingers clubs or private swingers parties and we will have sex with other people. But we also form friendships with other people. But where we draw the line is on romantic relationships. So, for instance, my girlfriend can't go on a date with another guy, just like I can't go on a date with another woman. And both of us are on the same page. Neither one of us want to go on dates with other people. We're fine with just sex. This is where I get a little, I think the waters muddy a little bit. I think that an open relationship is at the top, and then poly and swinging is below an open relationship. Like they're all in under the umbrella. What do either of you think about that?
yeah, what I would say is I often tend to think about and describe polyamory more in an orientation sense, right? And so not necessarily about the practice so much. Like I'm polyamorous, but I'm single. Like I'm not dating anybody right now. I'm not in a
Right.
relationship with anybody right now. So like me not having partners has nothing to do with whether or not I'm poly, right? In the past, I've had a single partner, right, at a time. So it's like, does that mean that I'm not No, it's something that I discovered in myself through years of discussion with people and understanding different things and always finding like, hey, everybody else kind of seems to be on this other side and I'm the odd person out. And then eventually came across some people that were like, hey, actually that describes all of us. We're poly. And so it was something that I always felt, whether or not it was something that I practiced, for the vast majority of my life. Like you could definitely say relationship wise, I've been monogamous,
Okay.
like I have a lot of times been dating a single person. Right. But that doesn't change the way that I feel. And that doesn't change what is something that is just kind of innate in me. I
Mhm.
think if you're looking at it from the labels of like open or not open, then yes, poly and swinging would be under that. I think that's fair, if you're
Okay.
looking at it like that. But I think polyamory is something a little bit more than just the practice, right, of
Right.
dating multiple people. So
I feel you on what you just said because I consider myself pansexual, like attracted to all genders. But I'm married, I'm monogamous, and I'm married to a cis straight man. So it's like you don't necessarily have to be practicing that to be that. So
yeah,
I love that. I love that you said that.
yeah, and
Um,
I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna answer the question that Ethan had, but
Mhm.
you can.
No, please.
No, but yeah, please
Okay.
go ahead.
So as far as open versus swinging, now I'm no expert. Okay, so don't take my word for it. But my understanding will be that open is more about just sex, like I don't know, like there can be open marriages, like two people can be married and decide that they are only gonna be with each other romantically, but that they are open to having sex with other people. Um, but it actually, now that I define it, it kind of does sound a little bit like what you described for your specific relationship with your
Right.
girlfriend, right? Where you both go out and have sexual relationships with other people that you agree upon. I think the difference with poly that I'm seeing is that poly is more of a romantic relationship. You can have many
Correct.
romantic relationships. So I don't know if I would put it under open.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I think the the difference, the space in between is the ability for the partners in a monogamous relationship to see other people without the other partner, right? So like the idea for me that I would have a partner that would go out and meet their partner, right? Completely without me, has nothing to do with me whatsoever. Like that, in my eyes, is all good. Okay. Like that for me just is fine, right? There are many other people that's not how they feel about that, right?
Right.
Which is okay, right? And there are some people who would say, okay, I feel fine with that as long as my partner doesn't develop long-term connections and relationships and try to bring that person into our house and yada yada yada.
Right.
And then there are people that would say, yeah, I'm still cool with all that stuff too. I sit all the way over there. That's where I tend to say poly is. And then that space before that, I think, is oftentimes what I come across when people are discussing an open relationship. And
Okay.
then before that, and again, it's not really like on a scale or a spectrum exactly in a straight line, but like then before that, I would say is where you have like swingers, essentially a monogamous couple that goes out and engages with other either individuals or partners, always together, you know, and like that's what we want. This is what both of us are you know, making our rules and abiding by them, you know. And then monogamous is, you know, we only just us. So, which again, I don't want it to sound like that's not interesting or exciting, by the way. I just the way I kind of said that, I just realized in my head that may have kind of descended a little, and I don't want it to sound like
I
that.
didn't see it
Monogamous.
that way, but
I
Yeah,
didn't see
good,
it that
good,
way.
okay,
Maybe. Yeah.
good. For me, it just got, and that's again, that's how I know I'm poly, is because like as I was moving down that, I was just like, man, I don't kind of want that other thing, you know. But anyway, sorry.
So in a moment, AJ, I have a question for you, but like for me, for poly, I can't do it. It's just it's not my thing.
Mhm.
And my girlfriend's the same way. She doesn't want that either. And we've had people ask us out on individual dates, and both of us are like, that's not really our thing. We're fine with the sex portion. We're fine with the friendship portion, but that's as far as it goes.
Mhm.
However, there are three people we've met through the swingers lifestyle that I would totally allow my girlfriend to go on a date with. Now, to be clear, I don't like saying allow because it sounds like I'm controlling her autonomy.
No,
And
I
I
think we
don't mean
get,
it to come across
yeah,
like that.
no, yeah.
Like you will be comfortable with it, basically.
Yes, exactly. I'd be comfortable with it. But the same goes on her side. She doesn't want me going on dates either. Like I have one girlfriend. That's more than enough for me. I can't handle two girlfriends. So
I feel
uh,
that.
AJ, what are your thoughts on open and polyamorous relationships, and how do you feel about them?
I would say that before I came into the whole atheist community and was exposed to more people with different views than mine, I would have probably been like, oh, wow, that's weird. But then when I meet people, I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, it's cool. To me, I see it now more of a spectrum. kind of like you would say, sexual orientation or sexuality or gender. It's just like you have monogamous on one side, non-monogamous on the other, and there's like a whole lot of array of different uh, labels or whatever. I know we're trying to not put labels on things, but I mean, there's like a whole
Right.
lot of different types of relationships, right? Like you have,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, and people make the rules that they feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
And personally, I think as long as um, all of the parts of all of the people involved in the relationship. I don't want to say both because it's, we're talking about more than two.
Right.
So like all of the parties in the relationships are agreeing upon certain rules and certain, ideals, then who am I to judge? I can't
Right.
truly judge. Like you said, is it for me? I don't think I have the energy for it. I I'm
When
happy like all my needs are being met with the one that I have. So it's like I'm happy where I'm at. So it's like I
That's
don't,
good.
yeah.
I've heard many a times it joked about, in poly circles that polyamory is just relationships for people who have a scheduling fetish. Which, I
I've heard that
mean,
one.
I'm not saying they're wrong entirely, but
Pull up
So
the calendar.
Tuesday at 3.
there are in the lifestyle and even in poly, people refer to monogamous relationships as vanilla relationships or vanilla people. I don't necessarily like that label
Yeah.
because to me, it's implying that a monogamous relationship is plain, and that's
Yeah.
by no means the case.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I have stories, but I don't want to share this
You can
too
share
much.
Yeah.
stories.
Get too
I think
You-
you're
personal,
welcome to
but
talk.
like
Yeah. Keep them
we've
within
had.
the terms of service, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll try. Yeah, if anything happens, it's your fault. No. Like I've been with my husband for like 20 years. All right, like we started with dating, and we were always, with each other. Uh, we've had a really good sex life. That's what I want to
Good.
say. Like when we were younger, maybe when we had a kid, things kind of slowed down a little. Then the religion, purity culture kind of got in my head a little bit, and things, you know, uh, weren't as exciting as they were at first. And then when I deconstructed from religion, I realized a lot of the limitations that I was putting on myself as far as purity culture goes. When I shared all of that, it was like we were back where we began. Without giving much details, like it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be vanilla. It's like
Right.
it's exciting. We go out on dates like by ourselves. It's like we just have as much fun as anybody else, I would say.
Yeah.
So how would you? Oh no, SR, you go first because mine's going to
SR.
go a little bit off topic.
Yeah, I'll be quick, which is just that I think, labeling things as vanilla or plain or basic or, whatever like that when it comes to especially when it comes to things like, sexual preferences and just how people want to, engage in relationships and love with each other. That I think is the wrong way of looking at this, we're not competing. We're not fighting. We're on the same team. We're working together. And what this should be is something that helps somebody. And this might, I'm not super familiar with terms of service. I'm so sorry, Ethan.
That's okay.
We're working on the same team to come as fucking hard as we can. And like,
No pun intended.
however we make that journey, like that's the point.
It's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point.
We're working together to have a good time. And that's the thing about, thinking about, if you don't do butt stuff, if you don't do this or that, it's like, what are you talking about? the whole point is whatever gets you there. That's the point. And that should be what's exciting about it, is being that person that can help your partner get to that,
Right.
And again, for me personally, I just have that enjoyment for multiple people. So, which, I mean, if you want to say that's more fun, that's fine. If you don't think that's more fun, that's also fine. And that might be an indication as to where you fall on that kind of breakdown, like maybe you're open, maybe you're poly, like.
Yeah. And I said for a lot of people, sex is a lot of brain play. It's like I mean, you have to like foreplay doesn't have to be like a sexual thing, right? Like if you have a connection with somebody, if you have an awesome conversation with your partner, and then whatever else, wind down the day, and then you go and do your, like you said, you're just trying to get to the ending point. And yeah, so I mean, that's like, for a lot of people, it's not about having sex. It's not, they can't just like go and like meet somebody and have a one night stand, and it's like that's not for everybody. So
Yeah, you're right. And so for me, like when we'll go to swingers clubs or swingers private parties, for both myself and my partner, we need to have some type of connection. Like I don't care how hot or attractive someone is. If your personality sucks, I don't want to sleep with you. And my girlfriend's the same way. Or if you're like, I know this, I don't want to sound mean, but this may sound mean. If you're like a ultra MAGA right-wing
oh
extremist,
yeah.
neither one of us is going to want to sleep with you
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. I am really attracted to people who are nice and kind. I've found
Same.
that in my life. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy a little dominance every now and then, as
Don't
well.
we all?
Like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Those aren't, contradictory or anything, but just like in general, yeah. I have seen pictures of various people that I'm not going to name because just saying their names now makes me shrivel in an area that if I describe further might get us kicked off. But I've seen pictures of these people, and then I was like, oh my gosh, who is that? And then I heard just a very short clip of them talking and was like, oh, I don't like this person. Not attractive. Like it is very, very important, the mental game. There's so much going on when it comes to attraction that is very, subconscious. And that's actually really cool if you know about that and types of stuff your partner likes. You can do something as simple as put a certain smell on, or put a certain song on.
Right.
Have a certain cloth that feels a certain way. I mean, it's amazing what you can do. I mean, we're some horny bastards, but also, just real quick, just for all our asexual friends out there, by the way, you don't always have to be, right? It's not always something that is a craving, a desire for people, and that is also completely fucking normal. Like, you don't have to be running around constantly trying to bang everything with a pulse, I mean, that is okay.
So
That's a great
question
point.
for you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, AJ.
No, I was saying that was a great point. That I when I mentioned the whole monogamous and all of that, I didn't think of it as sexual people. Yeah. Go ahead.
So SR, would you also consider yourself a swinger or no? And for clarification, what I mean by that is, say you were in town, you were at our house. Would you go to a swingers party, or is that not your thing?
I probably would. And I might take the label like every now and then in certain spaces or conversations. If I was actively dating somebody, and we were both into that, yeah, we might use that term. A pineapple is a
The
common
upside
reference.
down pineapple.
Upside down.
Common
So for those
reference
who
in
don't know, I was
Everybody
watching
knows.
this chef show, and right when I saw the girl like turned to the camera the right way, and I saw her forearm, and it had an upside down pineapple, and I was like, boom, swinger right there. So yeah,
See,
for those who
that's the
know,
best.
the upside down
Yeah.
pineapple
It's all
is the
kinds of
sign of a
little
swinger.
symbols and signs. But yeah, I probably wouldn't like be super offended or anything if somebody like said that, or if somebody was like, oh yeah, SR is a swinger,
Right.
that's probably wouldn't. Just like if somebody said, oh, SR is a humanist, or oh, SR is an agnostic, or I'd probably be, or anti-theist. I'd probably be like, yeah, I mean, I guess all those kind of also work too, but not, I think in general, poly is what I
Okay.
will always say. And again, it's not like I'd shun it, but it's not the term I use normally.
Well, two things, and I already forgot one because my damn ADHD.
You're
So I'll
good.
go with the other one. So for those who don't know, in the lifestyle, that's considered what swingers are called. It's the lifestyles or activity. There is a oppression against bi or gay men. To give you an example, I was sitting down with one of the club owners one day, and it was the end of the night. We were all talking, and word for word, almost exactly, he said to me, yeah, we love bi women, but bi gay men, I don't want that shit around here. We don't need that in this club. Why do you think there is such a negative stigma against bi men, and not just in a lifestyle, but in life in general? But there's no stigma against bi women. AJ, what do you think about that?
I think it's probably has a lot to do with the toxic masculinity that a lot of men have. You see it even in transgender circles. Like there is a huge bias against trans women, but nobody mentions trans men. It's like they're like nobody cares about what bathroom they go to, or
Right.
like where they're peeing. So I think it's probably straight men's fears. Like, okay, not all straight men are like very masculine, toxic masculine, straight men's fear of seeming gay. So they take being bisexual as being the same thing as being gay, and it's completely not.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think so. There's a bunch to it, So there is something called like bi erasure in general.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Bi erasure,
Like
Okay.
erasing by people.
okay.
Okay.
Like right, and so there's a lot of stigma in general, just being in that group. And then there's the discussion about bisexual versus pansexual, and I'm not going to go into all that, but it's all very interesting, and there are other people for sure that would do better justice to that. But specifically on this point, and specifically in like this place, I can see a couple of different reasons why that would be something that's common. A lot of misogyny, I think, is still underpinning, because I think there is still this idea, oftentimes among just hetero individuals, of all stripes. Because I've heard women say this. I've heard you'd be surprised the groups of people that I've heard say types of things like this. But their expression is that if you're a man and you're bi, well, you're just a completely submissive little sissy. That's all you are,
Yep.
right? You can't be really a man and be bisexual. You can't really be
You're
a man
hitting
and
the
be a
nail on the head.
switch, I think that is a big part of it. And the worry, especially in those spaces, that individual is not going to hit some of the prescribed criteria that the other clientele would be looking for, right? So for
Mhm.
instance, bunch of men are often in these spaces. A lot of hetero men are in these spaces, you know,
Right.
and well, they're gonna come to the show more if it's a bunch of bi women than if it's a bunch of bi
Mhm.
men, you know. And also in general, we've known for a while women are more comfortable with the idea of fluidity with their sexual orientation, whereas men are a lot more rigid. And this is something that's, you know, again, across cultures, across, you know, that's in part where, you know, some toxic masculinity stuff comes up. I don't want to deviate too much on that shit, but yeah, I think all of that is really, really what's at play underneath all of that. If you're not manly enough, then you're just not a man at all. And yeah,
So I'm going to say something I've never said publicly, and I can't believe I'm doing this.
let's get it.
I am a bi man. My girlfriend gave me the confidence to say that out loud.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
going to kick myself later for saying this out loud,
No,
but
Oh,
I
that's
can't
awesome.
tell you. I was raised in a time where bi men were wusses or were not real men, and it's just such it's toxic masculinity at its
Mhm.
finest.
yes.
And then also, I'm deviating ADHD. What I meant to say earlier when I forgot something was my biggest turnoff in the lifestyle was when my girlfriend and I were talking to this couple, and we were friends with a trans woman at the party. And when the husband's wife found out, she referred to her as it. And instantly
Uh,
that was like I was like, "Nope, done. Don't wanna sleep with you, want nothing to do with you." Like, how dare you refer to someone as an it?
Yeah.
So, starting with AJ, how would you react to that in real life situation? I know you're monogamous, but how would you handle that?
it will take a lot for me not to punch someone. I will have to first center myself because I will probably, I don't know, say all kinds of things that I will later regret to that person. Uh, but probably in a more calm environment, I may, try to reason with the person a little bit and, bring out why it is problematic and be like, hey, this is another human being. Does it really matter what is in their underwear? Like,
Right.
well, I mean, it is a swingers party, so like you can't say that everybody has to.
There's nothing wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
just
go
wanted to
ahead.
jump in there. There's nothing wrong with people having preferences. That
That's
isn't
that's what I
the
was going.
problem,
Absolutely.
right? The issue is that undeniably there are individuals who are going out of their way to demonize people.
Yep.
And it's not just trans people. Of course not, right? It's the same playbook for gay people, bi people, queer people, intersex people, poly people, black people, I mean, you name it. It's the same playbook, you know? And it's the fact that the person was overtly so rude, especially in a space that is supposed to be open and welcoming and you know, something that's inclusive. Look, nothing wrong with you at a meetup, somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, there's an open room over there, you want to get at it, and you
Exactly.
and
It's
you
normal.
saying thank you so much, I'm not interested, I appreciate it, thank you so much.
I've had to do that.
And that's fine, that is perfectly, but to to go to the point like, oh my god, you're so why would I want, that type of level, it's like, well, that's completely unattractive, I mean, come on.
Agreed. So this brings me to another question, which I'd love to hear both of you answer. At a swingers party, when it is mainly about meeting people and having sex, do you feel, and you may not want to answer this question because it might be a little controversial, do you feel a trans person has an obligation to inform someone that asks them to have sex with them of who they are. So whether it be a trans man or a trans woman, do they have an obligation to inform the person that propositioned them prior to engaging sexually?
That is definitely controversial question.
Mhm.
I don't know if I will say that they have an obligation, but I will say that it will probably be useful to both of them because we were just talking about people's sexual orientation, right? Like whether you have somebody who's straight, somebody who may consider themselves bisexual or pansexual. So in my case, I am pansexual, so I will have no problem with a transgender person. But if you have somebody who is straight, can you truly blame them for having that preference? Like, could they change their sexual orientation based on that sexual encounter? Maybe it's possible. Like, you could tell somebody who's straight and be like, hey, in a more, not, you don't have to like say it publicly, but like once you're in the room and be like, hey, this is my situation, I'm a transgender person. I don't know, like.
No, I think I largely agree with you too. And that being said, I'll start off with my perfect world, right? My perfect world is one where, that information isn't something that causes hate and violence in the
Right.
moment. And unfortunately, because of the space that we live in,
That's where my answer came from.
and that's very difficult, because it's kind of like, should somebody in the 1930s in Germany have told their partner that they're about to start dating that they're Jewish? It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe, right? Maybe that's important, like how you're going to raise your kids or whatever. But I don't know. So that being said, I do think, again, people's preferences is not something that should be shamed. We shouldn't be in the boat of saying because somebody is only attracted to X genitals, Y genitals, whatever it is, right? I prefer taller people, shorter people, long hair, short, whatever it is, all these different things. Like, the largest part of this, in my opinion, is about how we're engaging with people, right? And if somebody is telling me they're going out of their way to tell me, hey, I'm not attracted to this, that, or the other, it always feels a little weird to me. I remember the first time I ever heard somebody say the phrase that they're not attracted to Black women.
Ooh.
And I just remember thinking, like, all of them? Because that's a lot. That's a lot of that's a lot of people, man. Are you sure? Like, there's not one? That seems weird to me,
And like, what shade do you stop?
Right.
That's a good question.
You see? Like, this is the thing, is like, I think a lot of times when we're saying some of these things, there's more underlying it. And that's where I personally like to investigate and like to discover. Because again, if somebody says to me like, hey, honestly, just really not attracted to vaginas, it's like, yeah, I mean, you do you,
Right.
I love them.
It's valid.
You have your thing, I'll have my thing. It's great. That's okay. But again, like, I think there are clear examples where somebody is going way out of their way and then just kind of falling back on the, I just like tits. I just like tits. Like, what's wrong with that? And it's like, oh, see, but yeah, that's not really how you're coming at it, man.
Right. So, AJ, and you don't feel obligated to answer this if you think this is an inappropriate question.
No, you have to. You have to. You're live on air.
I signed some papers in the back. Yeah.
So how would you react if a potential partner, or you said you're married, right?
Yeah.
If your husband or a potential partner said they were interested in being ethical non-monogamous, for instance, swinging, how would you approach that conversation, or how would you react to that?
I would probably have a long sit down conversation and figure out why first. Like, what is like, are they lacking something? Are they lacking variety? Does he, feel like I am not providing enough sex or like uh, mental stimulation? Like we said earlier, a lot of part of it is like the brain attraction to another person. Um, are they bored? Are they just, like, could we do something that could improve our relationship first, or does he feel like he truly needs to have that?
Okay.
That would be my first reaction. Truly, like, I personally don't feel like I will need swingers on my side.
Yeah,
So like,
it's
if
not for
yeah,
everyone.
like, why, like, if it was a situation, I would be like, hey, like, if you feel like you need um to have this open relationship, and we came up to a certain agreement, we put out some rules of whatever, and he feels that he has to do that, I would probably be like, all right, but I will certainly first try our hardest to work on our own relationship.
Mhm. Yeah, after being open, I don't know if I could go back to being monogamous. And I'm not saying I can't,
Yeah.
but I don't know, and I don't know how to explain it. It's not that there is something lacking in our sexual relationship by any means, but I don't know how to explain it. It's just the experience. Like, to give an sorry, I want to be very clear here. I'm not in any way promoting swinging or saying monogamous relationships are bad. So please, nobody think that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you form some amazing friendships. And when you end up in intimate scenarios with, 10 of your close friends, it is a very intimate, pleasing situation, um, that is hard to describe. It has brought a new level of intimacy with my girlfriend and I. Again, totally not for everyone. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Hey, go be a swinger," because no, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and there are a lot of problems in the lifestyle. Um, One thing which I actually agree with this, because men can be creeps, but men usually have to pay to get into a swingers club twice as much as a couple. Not only that, they usually have to be on some type of membership or approved list. So, for instance, one of the lifestyle groups we go to called, never mind, I can't say their name.
Yeah, don't.
One of
I
the
would.
no,
Don't. Yeah,
I
no need to go
almost
that
One of them.
detailed.
almost slipped out.
Yeah,
But
good, good.
one of the groups has this process called certified gentleman. So you have to pay an application fee, you fill out this application, and then you have to be voted on. So a certain number of women have to approve and validate and say, hey, yes, you're a nice guy, you're not a creep, you respect other people, and then they'll allow you to go into these groups. But yes, single men are never wanted.
Just that
The
process alone.
primary, the most desired group in the lifestyle is what's called unicorns, which
Yeah,
are
that's why they're
single
called.
women.
That's why they're called
They're
that.
excited looking. But with
Magical
swing,
creatures that don't exist.
but with that, every swinger has so many different rules and dynamics to it. You'll find some that are poly, some that aren't poly, some that will allow their partner to go on dates or dirty talk to another person, some that won't allow that. To give you an example, we're on this, I almost said the group name, not saying it, caught myself. We're a part of this private group where we pay a monthly subscription, essentially. And this couple reached out. It's a joint profile between my girlfriend and I. And this couple reached out, and the guy only addressed my girlfriend, didn't address me in any way, basically acted like I wasn't there, and asked her out. So to me, that is a line of disrespect.
Yeah.
And I would feel the same if it was the other way around. If they just addressed me and didn't address my girlfriend, I'd be like, okay, this is not okay. You know, my girlfriend's here a part of this too. I forgot where I was going with that, but I'd love some feedback on what I
No,
just said.
no, I think that that's good. And, you know, because it's interesting. That feeling that you have right there, while it's something that I completely understand, right? It's also something for me that's, you know, in the boat of just being like, oh, well, you know, if I was dating somebody, we'd probably have maybe a couple's account and individual account. So he'd probably just hit her up on her own fucking account anyway, you know? So, and that's where, again, that's where I think that's a good indication of like whereas AJ's like, yeah, that's, yeah, not really a situation I'm going to be in. Right. And you're like, so I'm there, but I have some problems here. And then I'm over here like, right. So, you know, we'd already be talking, you know? So I think that's, again, those are some indicators for people out there that are kind of asking these questions to themselves or just maybe having some of these thoughts like as to where you might sit, you know? And if you kind of go through this thought process in your head of like, hey, you know, who on this panel is saying things that really kind of resonate with me? It's not right or wrong. It's not good, bad, you know, it's just a matter of like, oh yeah, okay, I might be there, you know?
Right.
And then that's really good because what I have found is for me in past relationships that have been monogamous and not understanding what it means to be poly myself, we struggled, you know, for various reasons. And now starting off meeting new people and being like, oh, hey, I'm poly. What does that mean? It's like, yeah, this, that helps a lot. That makes it a lot easier to find people that, I click a lot better with, you know? You know, it's not perfect. It doesn't, you know, just because you finally like realize like, oh shit, I might be a swinger. Like that doesn't mean everything just magically, you know, starts
No, it does
working out. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, SR. If right now you met a girl or boy, whatever your preference is, that you were really into, and they said they wanted a monogamous relationship, how would you handle that?
Yeah. And just real quick on the last little thought there, I'm straight, but I take the label mostly straight now. That's just, again, something we kind of talked about at the beginning, that oftentimes men, especially hetero men, struggle with that kind of, you know, fluidity. And so for me, it's kind of like, I'm not unattracted by men. Right. And that is where I don't sit in the space of being attracted to men in the capacity that I'm attracted to women. I'm
Right.
definitely attracted to women. I'm sure on that one. But
So would you say
Go ahead.
you're hetero flexible then, or 100% straight?
that's not, I mean, that's not, sorry.
Well, you look like you're dying over there.
Yeah, just barely. Just my soul, don't worry. Like that, I don't think that label is bad. But I don't think it's the best label. And heteroflexible was something that I was kind of throwing around until I heard that term mostly straight. Because I
Okay.
think it's kind of like on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Like one is straight, 10 is gay, 5 is bi, right? Like maybe like 2, you know? So where's that put you? You know, exactly. And I think probably mostly straight, you know? But again, that's just kind of where I sit. but yeah, back to what you were asking about. Met somebody that wants to be in a monogamous relationship. That would be difficult. And the reason that would be difficult in part is just because I hope that, again, I do a good enough job of explaining kind of who I am and where I'm coming from, you know? And I kind of feel that question would be similar to like me saying to, you know, a straight woman, me saying, you know, hey, just what if a woman comes up to you and says, just be in a relationship with me, you know, date
Right.
me, love me, be attracted to me. And it's like, well, you know, she's not bi, she's not gay, she's attracted to men, you know, that's how it is for her. And so ultimately, I don't think, just like that relationship probably wouldn't work out in that
Okay.
capacity. I don't think it would work out for me either. That doesn't mean that there aren't relationships that could be had. You know, there are. There's all kinds of different structures that you know, consenting adults can agree on.
Right.
But yeah, I think if there's somebody in my life that wants to be connected with me on that capacity, I mean, you're kind of gonna have to understand that's where I'm coming from, you know.
Right.
And if that's not something you're interested in, like, believe me, I'm not gonna force anybody, you know, unless you want to be. But no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's been like 15 minutes. I haven't said anything like that in a while. I just figured I had to get at least one or two in more. No,
Yeah.
but seriously, yeah, I don't think that would ultimately work out, unfortunately. But
Okay. All right. I have two questions. I'll start with AJ. I know you're not poly, AJ, but I think you can offer some feedback on this.
Sure.
So, our first question comes from Puck. Is poly a preference, a kink, or an identity?
Ooh, my guess would be identity because it seems like very deep rooted. I don't think it's a kink. Definitely not a kink.
I would agree with you on that.
Right.
yeah, I definitely say that too. I mean,
And
there's some kinky stuff I can get into, but
It's
no,
not
terms of
bad.
service.
yeah,
Terms
but
of service.
yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's something that you can just try halfway through your life, you know. I think it's something that either, you know, and this is the thing. I think I've done this before with you, at least, Ethan, is, you know, I do this question, you know, series of questions with people where it'll be like, hey, look, you know, you have partner, you know, whatever, man, woman, whatever you're attracted to, doesn't matter. Have partner, into them, right? Awesome. They're like, great, cool, on board. Now there's another person that comes into the mix, also super attracted to him, right? Your partner's like, I'm on board with this. That's cool with me. Do it. Like, are you going to do it? You know?
Mhm.
And there are people that right there just go, mm-mm, not interested. And
Right.
it's like, yeah, cool. Awesome. You know, that's great. That's where you are. And then there are other people that go, yeah, totally, I'd be interested. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now here's the next question. Somebody comes over, wants to be with your partner while you're there with them, both of you together. They're like, yeah, I'm on board. I'm in it. You know, I'm like, awesome. Now somebody comes over, just wants to be with your partner, not you. And they're like, nope, not into it. Not on board. And it's like, right, cool. See, and that's great. That's good. That's where you are on that. Some people said no before you did. Some people won't
Right.
say no for a handful of questions down the line. That's good to just know that about yourself, so that you can engage with other people and let them know honestly, you know?
Mhm.
Again, doesn't mean everything's going to work out. You will, just so you're all aware, in case you don't know about like dating and interacting as an adult. There will be lots of people that don't agree with where you are on that series of questions, you know, and they are not shy about letting you know it. So you're going to be like, all right, we're on the same page. Let's keep going. And you take 2 more steps and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And they turn around and walk away. So, you know, you just be careful.
All right. I got one more question from Puck. And this is another one I think both of you can answer. Question for the panel. Doesn't setting rules on how your partner is allowed to interact with others interfere with their agency? What do you think about that, AJ?
No, I don't think so. I think that ultimately it always comes down to agreeing to being in a similar type of relationship. Like if you're both on different pages, then as I was saying a moment ago, that's not gonna work out. Like if somebody wanted him to be in a monogamous relationship, that's just not gonna work out.
Right.
I know I answered my question earlier about if my husband came to me and said that he wanted to have other partners or have an open or swing relationship. I don't see that happening on either of our sides. Like we're both pretty happy where we're
Right.
at.
That's
And
good.
it's like yeah, like I don't think we're interfering with either of our agencies, right? Like we both agree that we are both here willingly, that we're
Right.
not wanting to have other relationships, that we love each other enough that we don't need that. So it's like I don't. What do you think, SR?
Yeah, I would say I think that question is trying to get at something that I think we all agree with, because agency is incredibly important, right? Autonomy is incredibly important, the right for an individual to make their own decisions without, you know, force, coercion, manipulation, those types of things, right? But informed consent, you know, amongst adults is not manipulation, right? It's not coercion, it's not violence, right? The 3 of us came together one day and said, we're all going to show up at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Right.
That's not restricting any of our autonomy
Yeah.
or agency. Like in the broadest of senses, like I guess technically that counts, that it's restricting agency or autonomy, but in the same way that gravity restricts my agency and the ability to flap my wings and fly, you know, to the moon. And so that's not really what we're getting at when we talk about that. When we talk about restricting each other's ability to make decisions in the world, we're utilizing this framework that is basically saying, look, people are coming to this with all knowledge on the table. Nobody's hiding anything. There's no shell game happening in front of us. Like everybody knows what's happening and everybody goes, yeah, this is the best way for us to do this. So yeah, it's something that can take any shape, right? That's the cool thing about human relationships we found, is that all of these different forms can work, but the way that they work is the people working together. You know, again, we're on the same team as opposed to like fighting each other. If though you find and you feel that you're in that relationship where your agency is being restricted very heavily, I would say you should look into some different programs and things and get some help, because that oftentimes is a sign of not a good relationship.
Right. So it's funny that Puck asked that question, because I actually had a very similar conversation with 2 of our swinger friends earlier. They're a happy couple. One's a man and the other is gender fluid. So I started talking to them privately after I made a post in a swingers group. Now they have this big rule about not restricting each other's autonomy. So for instance, any man at any point, or any person, I shouldn't say man, any person can approach the gender fluid person at any point in any way they want. If there's an issue, they handle it. They don't need to involve their partner. And the same goes for the guy in the relationship. He's allowed to talk to anyone. Anyone can talk to him, and they believe any restrictions of that violates autonomy. I don't agree with that. And I see where they're coming from. Because yes, I get the point while you are limiting what someone else can do. But if two people in a relationship come to the same terms and agree that they won't separately talk to random people without permission, is that really restricting someone's autonomy?
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I think that, you know, it's kind of like somebody saying, you know, man, I really like ice cream, but I've never really been a fan of yogurt. And then somebody else going, well, I don't want to restrict my dairy preferences, you know. I just want to be able to eat all kinds of different milk-based product. And it's like, well, great, man. I'm so fucking glad that that's what you want, you know. But like, don't come at me because you know, like this isn't. I'm not forcing my partner to do fucking anything. Trust me.
Right.
She's got that collar on because she likes it. But like, I mean, you know, it's like, guys, this is an agreement between us, right? And I'm always hesitant to, you know, make judgments on other people's relationships, and I think that's something we should all be wise about, because we don't understand, and we all know that there are 1,000 things that somebody could come up to us right the fuck now and be like, hey, so let me talk to you about this in your relationship. And we instantly have 100 super great reasons as to why they're wrong. We all do this. This is how relationships work. Okay. So yeah, I would be quick to calling other people like restrictive and so forth. Again, some people like restriction, you know, some people like rules.
That's your thing.
That's right. That's right. Some people like to be told them over and over. I'm sorry, I'm getting off. I gotta
No,
stop.
you're fine, dude. So we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes. But AJ, did you have anything else you'd like to add to this topic?
I just want to remind people that all of these labels that we talk about, just like gender, sexual orientation, they're all social constructs. We've all made them up. There is no right or wrong. Like either of all of our relationship styles that we just discussed right here, and there's probably a lot more that we didn't discuss.
Mhm.
They're great. They're valid. They're good.
Mm.
Whatever works for the partners in question.
Awesome. All right, SR, how about you?
No, I think you both wrapped it up really well. And that's always a good reminder for everybody that, you know, when playing with multiple partners, wrapping it up is always something that is
Don't
a
forget.
beneficial reminder. So I just we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Did you get? I don't know. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying, right, Ethan?
Yeah, I know what you're
Okay.
saying.
Okay. I just.
I don't know about you.
So there is one other thing I'd like to bring up, and you know what? Maybe you guys may disagree or agree. I'd love to know what the audience thinks, but there is a surprising amount of people in the lifestyle that don't want to use protection. My girlfriend and I are very anal about it. Like, no exceptions. Like, I guess there's like a couple exceptions. Like her best friend, I'm allowed to not wear protection with, and one of my friends. But outside that, we're very strict. Like, protection has to be worn. And some of their justifications were, hey, you know, one of them is like, we're on PrEP. And there's this other medication, and I can't remember what it's called, but it helps prevent like gonorrhea and chlamydia. I don't know the name of it. So the justification was that as long as you're taking those and as long as everyone is honest, it's okay to sleep with someone without protection. I'd love to know both of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, perfect world, man. Everything going perfect. Like, yeah, sure, that'd be great, right?
Well, in a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, sorry. Now
But
that I'm back,
Adam and
out
Eve fuck it up for us. So
yeah, right. Like now that I'm
Sorry,
out of
guys.
my daydream, there. Yeah, I think. the vast majority, I could be wrong on this, you guys, so please go check me. Don't take my advice on this. But go listen to the doctors, which is what I'm going to say. I think the vast majority of the doctors will tell you that multiple types of protection is the best way, right? These types of medications that are available and are fairly effective, we should all be having them. It is an absolute shame that these things have existed for so long, and the
And are
world
so expensive.
and the world is not, and right, the world is not on them. It is incredible. We have individuals that have lived for the last decade free of HIV after being diagnosed many years ago.
Well, it's
So
not. Let's clarify that. It's not free of HIV. It's
no,
that
these
their
these
count is so low that it can't be detected.
no. Okay, so the most recent thing that I read is free, is gone, is eradicated in their body.
I wish we
So
had Dr. Ben right now.
no,
because
I know, and I have to look, but what I'm ultimately, the point is that such great progress has been made, right?
absolutely, people don't have to die of HIV or die of
100%.
AIDS anymore.
100%, right? All of that being said, again, I truly believe that there is always a reason to warrant protection. I think that's fair,
Mhm.
especially when you're playing with people that you don't know.
Exactly.
I think that's always a reasonable thing. Again, multiple protection is better than a single protection. Single protection is better than unprotected. I don't
Well,
that's a reasonable statement. So
and one of the arguments was that, hey, people are adults, they're going to be honest about their STDs. And to me, that was a red flag right there. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, that's no. Everyone is not going to be honest about STDs.
that's bullshit.
SR, I want to know what's going through your head right now. The face you just made.
yeah, just
Me too.
I feel like there's so many different things that I can say that I will get me in trouble. So I'm not going to say those things. I'm just going to say, have you guys ever received a random DM or email or something message from some stranger that starts off by saying, "Wait, I'm not a scam," and then tells you anything else? Don't you? So you kind of feel like it's a scam? So you kind of feel like it's a scam? I'm just saying that's what happens to me when somebody, and this is in part one of the problems, okay, is we shame and we stigmatize STDs. We shame and we stigmatize so
you're
much
right.
around this, when in reality there are a lot of misconceptions about things.
Mhm.
And there are people with all kinds of different diagnoses that would blow fucking people's minds, and to hear like, no, this is actually perfectly normal, everything's fine, no problems, like they won't give it to their partner, everything's good, like there are certain methods and ways, and there's all kinds of things. So that's a big part of it. And yeah, again, I feel like I have enough evidence to just be like, hey man, I'm so sorry, you're probably a great guy, but come on,
Right.
that was dumb. That was dumb what you
Yeah.
said.
And this
Nerdy,
is oh, sorry, go ahead.
nerdy. Yeah, no, I was gonna give a nerdy scientific fact. Okay, when you are about to have sex, or like in the act, your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that deals with making good decisions, is sort of, it doesn't completely shut down, obviously, but its activity is a lot lower than normal. So you do not make good decisions, and so somebody lying just to get sex, just to get to that finish line, yeah, that's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I
Yeah.
agree, and
I
that's
mean,
why that's why my girlfriend and I. It's not that we don't trust people; it's that we're going to play it safe. Because even and this is probably TMI. I really shouldn't be saying this, but whatever. We use protection every time, and we both caught a curable STD. We both caught gonorrhea once, and so we had to go to the doctor, get shots in the butt, and get it taken care of. And that's with protection. We still
Yeah.
caught it.
Mhm.
So why would people want to have unprotected sex with random strangers?
It's also worth noting that completely monogamous couples can develop various STIs, right? Like there are all kinds of different things that can happen. The human body is just kind of in general a little gross. There's all kinds of things going on with us all the time, okay? And especially if we're not careful, right? Especially if you engage with different types of play and you're not cautious about being cleanliness, proper hygiene and so forth. Like there's all kinds of different things. And the point of all of this is to say that there's nothing wrong with being safe. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And so many things are treatable in a lot of different
Absolutely.
ways. And we shouldn't be out there stigmatizing and just making fun and all that stuff.
No,
Right? Like
no,
I
not
say
at all.
I say gross and dirty and stuff because I like to be playful with that. Like when people
But we
ask me, I'll say oftentimes I'm a gross, dirty pervert, But as you can see right here, I think I'm very much in favor of it, and I use it in a positive sense as kind of like reclaiming that stuff as being like, yeah, the human body is kind of gross, and I'm kind of dirty, and that's great. Like that's cool. We can celebrate that. But I just to be clear, I wasn't saying you were making fun of or anything, Ethan.
Oh, I didn't take it like that at all. But
Okay, cool.
that's like that brings me to another point is I think a lot of people when they pass STD test, they say they're clean. I think using the term clean is a bad word because it already automatically implies that someone with an STD is dirty.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah,
goes
I
that
know.
negative stigma. We
Okay.
shouldn't be doing that. Now, to be clear, there shouldn't be a negative stigma against STDs, but at the same time, I don't want to catch something.
Yeah,
So
and there's
I
nothing
don't know
wrong
where
with
to
that.
catch.
Yeah, and we also shouldn't just be like, yeah, like I can't even. Oh man, I was gonna say something so terrible. I was gonna do the Oprah thing, but with like different
Like,
STDs,
you get a card, you
I
get a
You
card, you get
right,
a
right, right. But I just thought, I right as I was about to do it, I was like, oh man, that won't play as well as I
no.
think so. But you
no,
guys
but
you understand what I'm saying. Like, let's not do that.
Right,
There's a middle ground here, folks. We don't have to
right.
go so hard one way or the other. But
no, but like you can say it with other things like you don't want to go and have the flu or the rotavirus,
right,
like
Right.
yeah,
right.
That's a
like
good
it's
point.
out there and they're preventable. And like there's things we can do
I
to prevent it.
I'll tell you, I want to know just as much if somebody has syphilis, if we're about to engage in sex, as I do, honestly, as if they have like
COVID.
tuberculosis
Yeah,
or
Right.
or Rona or
exactly.
I mean, there's 1,000 other things. Like I want to know, are you sick right now? Like, do you have a stomach bug? Like, are you just gonna
Right.
throw up? Like, let's just wait. Like it's okay.
I mean, even myself with my husband, like when one of us is sick, we try to stay, like no
Mm-hmm.
kissing, like
Right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you
It's
just
totally
try to
fine.
prevent the spread, like
Yeah.
completely normal.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into this because we got to wrap up momentarily. But one of the other things that just perplexes me is the dominant amount of people, not dominant, the majority of the people in the lifestyle are conservative Christians and
Interesting.
MAGA people. I don't get it. How can you go to a party, be in an orgy, and say, "Yeah, I'm a Christian"? Like, how? How does that work in your head? It just blows my mind.
I mean, we
So
know God likes to watch.
yeah. So let me do something that I shouldn't do, which is I'm gonna
Okay.
psychologize and I'm gonna get in the mindset of some of these people. Okay, you shouldn't do this. Nobody, do not do this at home, folks. You know how you hear, the three of us have definitely heard this a lot about we just want to sin and we're just suppressing all these bad desires and so forth. See, they struggle with those feelings on a daily basis, and they don't know what to do with them because they've been told that they shouldn't have these thoughts. But against their will, they can't do anything but wake up every morning and think about just getting pounded so fucking hard that their teeth shake. And so they go out and they just do it. They just do it. And then the entire rest of the time, they go about the process and the ritual of engaging with the worldview that tells them that they don't have the thoughts that they very clearly do. I would say it is deep cognitive dissonance is where they exist. It's fairly well known that there are a lot of the individuals that are engaged in more of a submissive attitude, right? Oh, thank you, Nancy. A lot of the individuals that engage in more of a submissive attitude, especially if they're cis hetero men, are often in positions of power, outside of that, and they're desiring that feeling that they don't get a lot of times. They want that power taken away from them. That's something very attractive to them because it's almost kind of taboo. They shouldn't be doing it. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I truly believe when you're talking with a very religious person that is actively telling you that they think homosexuality is wrong, or that engaging with multiple partners is something that is showing how depraved you truly are. When you hear those things, know deep in your heart, folks, they are definitely a freak. Okay. They are doing some nasty shit.
Okay, I have to interject for one point. One of the freakiest sexcapades I ever had was with, I didn't know this till after, so please don't cancel me, was with a Christian Republican Trump supporter. And here was the funniest part is we went on a date and we had known each other for a little while, but we never really got into politics or religion. However, I knew she was a Christian. She did know I was an atheist. And the one day we're talking and she says to me, yeah, I broke up with my last boyfriend because he wasn't Christian enough. And I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, I'm literally an atheist YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it's okay.
Would you want him to shove a cross up his ass? Like, I don't what?
Well, which also confused me. She later admitted that I was one of her conquests, that she had a goal. She just wanted to have sex with me.
It's kind of hot.
And that was it.
I can't help that. It's kind of hot. Yeah.
Well, it's because you're a heathen.
Odd,
it's because
right?
you're a heathen, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Like Jesus died for their ability to commit the sin of adultery. So
might as well try it once or twice, I mean,
Why
see what
not?
it's all about. See what this secular world's all about, Get a little secular tonight.
Okay, so one last question, and then we're really going to wrap it up.
All right.
So I don't want to
Double
make
wrap.
a joke out of this, but this is also an interesting point. Simply Secular Dave said, what about if they have a heart condition or narcolepsy or something else that might be relevant?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to make a joke, but the one thing I was going to say is if someone had narcolepsy and I was sleeping with them and they all of a sudden fell asleep, I would feel like the worst person on the planet. My confidence would just be like right in the toilet.
Yes.
So I guess you probably will want to know about that one. Yes. A heart condition, I don't know. I feel like what we were talking about earlier was like contagious diseases.
Yeah.
So,
I think that definitely the contagious thing, I think is really what was the contagious and the potential for harm for other people, right? That being said, I do want to say this with those types of things, especially if you're engaging more long term with somebody. I would absolutely say that those things are deeply important, as well. By the way, neurodivergence of a lot of different stripes. There's a lot of people that talk about, what it's like to try to engage with their partner when, as somebody with, autism, somebody with ADHD, somebody with, all kinds of different things. Right. And it is really important. There's a lot of stuff that can be really helpful. There's a lot of things that can take your partner out of it and so forth. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not funny, but yes, if my partner had narcolepsy, if that was something that would happen, I definitely would want to know that, because I, very much like you, Ethan, would be disappointed very heavily. I enjoy, getting other people off.
Exactly.
Right? I enjoy the excitement from others. And so, like halfway through, and they're just like passed out, and I'm sitting over here going, oh, okay. So yeah. I'd be very kind.
You just want her to fucking sleep.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, of course, of course, it would be done. Like everything would stop immediately, But like, I would hope that we would be able to have a conversation later, and I could be like, hey, I just want to make sure real quick, like, was it me or like, right. But no, again, that's just like, in general, you should probably be honest and open with your partners, as much as you can, for your own safety and so forth. So
one point I'd like to make, and I know I keep saying that, and
we'll just go forever. I don't care.
Can't help it. I know that's how it's going. But for those who don't know, the BDSM, aka the kink community, generally has a very negative view of the swingers community. And here's why. In most, not all, but in most BDSM dungeons and parties and kink events, alcohol is a strict no. They don't allow alcohol on the premises. If you show up drunk, you're not allowed to come in the building. Where swingers clubs, alcohol is involved. So they have this negative impression that we blur the lines of consent. And to be clear, I've never in my entire life slept with somebody that's fucked up. Outside, if me and my girlfriend were both fucked up together, yeah, we've had interactions before. I think that's normal. But like, if I see someone is visibly intoxicated, it's like, nope, done. It's not happening. I'm not going to do it. And that's like my girlfriend is more into BDSM than I am. So she's been wanting to go to these clubs. But to be honest, like, I need a few drinks. Like, if I'm going to be involved in that, like, that's a big step for someone like me.
You can probably have one or two and not. I mean, it depends on your tolerance,
I would need like.
It'd need to be, shots. Yeah. Well, okay. Right. That's yeah. No, and here's the thing. I think there's very good reason why those spaces avoid alcohol.
Absolutely.
With a lot of the things that they are doing. Yeah. Right. The level, the intensity sometimes that things can go. It's like you need to be very much aware of your faculties and your capabilities if you're about to like put some hooks in somebody.
Yep.
So I do understand that, of course. Also, I am somebody that partakes in alcohol. I like to drink every now and then. I like to have sex every now and then with alcohol involved.
It's nice.
You can have those consent conversations beforehand. I'm just going to throw this out there again. Planning sex is great, you guys. I think it's awesome. It makes it even fucking better. Because you can like have this whole time, you know, where you're both super duper sober and you just lay out a bunch of stuff and it's really fucking sexy. And then like, you know, a day or two later, you can enact those things, you know. And yeah, if you need a shot in that process, you know, that's okay, because that's stuff you guys have discussed before. So, you know.
Right. Well, that actually reminds me of before I was in the relationship with my girlfriend, there was this girl that came over and we hung out a few times. And I'm not going to say what we did, but we took something. Prior to taking it, I looked right at her because I had the hunch she was interested in advancing in our relationship. So I directly said, like, hey, before we take this, and I will ask you again before anything happens, but are you okay while you're of sound mind if something sexual happens? And she immediately was like, oh my God, no one's ever asked me that before. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm okay with it. We didn't end up doing it because, like, we both had a bad experience with what we took. So nothing happened. But anyways, I feel like we could talk forever.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. AJ, what do you have going on and where can people find you?
Right now I have quite a few shows coming up. Somebody over here is going to be on my show. It's out. It's going to be on February 8th, I think it is.
Yeah.
Then this Friday, actually, I have a show. It's like 5, I'm pretty sure. We're just going to talk politics, you know, messing around with that's going on in America right now. What else do I have? Oh, Punk Boss State. He was in the chat earlier. Brentley. He's going to be on February 22nd. But,
Oh, I was on Brentley's channel once. Good guy.
He's great.
yeah, he's cool. I really enjoy his show. Yeah, so those are the main ones. Kelly Laughlin's birthday bash party. Yeah, I don't want to give too many details, but that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, those are the main shows that I have coming up.
Awesome. All right, what about you, SR? And I know I'm not going to hint at this, but I know there's something going on. I don't know if that's something you want to talk about, but regardless, promote whatever you want to promote in this month.
Yeah, I'll mention that, and I'll try to say everything as quick as possible, because earlier today, actually, I was live on WPLN 90.3, Nashville Public Radio.
You were at a radio station?
Yeah, it's a show called This Is Nashville. And it's recorded, so you can go check it out. And it'll be titled The Conversation Coalition, which is a group that I helped found in Nashville over a year ago. Sidney Davis Jr. was a part of that as well. It has been a big, a force for us. And yeah, so we were talking about that today. But I have some other crazy, awesome things coming up too. I mean, one thing, I'm on Justin Skeptic Spin, and I recorded a couple of videos, and there should be one coming out tomorrow again. So go check those out. This weekend, actually, this Saturday, I'll be hanging out with Punk Apostate, and that'll be really fun. I'm excited to get to hang out with him again. And at the end of March 31st, I will actually be doing this huge, awesome mega stream fundraiser thing that my good buddy Ethan Michael, I don't know if you know him, but he's going to be helping me out with. And we've got all kinds of really, really cool things that over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be getting out there in more detail in a lot of different ways, you guys. So normally I'm not super telling people like go follow me and stuff. I just kind of hand wave that shit, but go actually look at my shit because we're going to be doing some really, really cool things in the South this year. So we got a lot planned.
Good to hear. Real quick before I say our goodbyes, we've had 2 requests from the audience for you to dance. Do you want to do a boogie, or
can you play some music? Do you have some music at least? You can't play music?
No, I can't.
Damn it. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
sing and dance.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just worse when there's no music because it's
I'm
like
sorry,
it's
I can't do
uncomfortable,
that.
you know? It's like
It
I have to
is. It
make
makes you
eye
feel weird.
contact. No, I'll do it though. I can't. We had two requests.
2 requests.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
You're freezing.
Your
but-
camera is freezing. I'll show you.
and that makes it even better.
There you
That
go.
makes it better. Then I honestly I don't know why my camera's been freezing right now, but I hope it
Have
got
you
some of that.
restarted your computer recently?
You know, I haven't. That's honestly
That dude. Rule number 1 in IT: restart your computer daily.
okay. All right. I'll get on that. I'll get better
anyways,
about it.
Thank you for everyone who tuned in. My next show is 2 weeks from today. It'll be with Cindy Plaza, and the topic is euthanasia. The reason we'll be discussing that, Cindy Plaza suffers from a very bad depression. She's been dealing with it her whole life. And in her country, euthanasia is legal. So she has recently applied to be euthanized. And it breaks my heart. When she first told me that, I started bawling my eyes out. So it'll be an emotional show. I'm very excited for it, but I'm also dreading it because I know it's going to make me very sad. But
Wow.
I absolutely support her and what she wants to do. So, SR, thank you. AJ, it was great working with you for the first time. Stay on board. Thank you to my patrons who have still continued to support me, even though I've not done stuff in a year. And thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. And have a good evening.